Hey folks, how you all doing? This is Con over coming to you with a live Company of Heroes 2 1v1. This game right here goes on Famenville Approach. And up here in the north, the game host, it's going to be Ergarion, bringing along Feuerstorm Doctrine, not often seen these days, Scavenge Doctrine, and Breakthrough Doctrine. So two standards and one a little bit more uncommon. His opponent down here, seeming to have a little bit of lag right now, is RTN Hector. And RTN Hector, of course, is going to be bringing along the UKF. He's got to his credit Special Weapons Regiment, Vanguard Operations Regiment, and Royal Engineer Regiment. Forgive me for a second there, guys. I had myself a little bit of like a brain fart. Don't know what was going on. Things are starting up kind of slow, though. We are going to see that Hector's troops are moving out to pick up strategic points. Ergarion doing exactly the same. And I'm wondering if we're just going to see a simple kind of fuel expand. I think that's going to be the case. Early Volksgren, Kubelwagen coming out third for Ergarion, probably pick up this strategic point. Though if I were him, I would try to put pressure on the opponent over here to the north. Instead, though, Ergarion is just going to go and pick up... I thought he was going to pick up the VP, but no, now he's going to be kind of sliding around to the east, and it seems RTN Hector, with his Vickers, is going to be forcing a very, very early retreat out of Ergarion. So a little bit less than a completely stellar play immediately coming out for our OKW competitor. But the Germans do have a significant lead in terms of fuel income, and it's not going to change for a fair bit of time. On the positive side, though, for Hector, he does have this area right here, right now, which means that until the battle group headquarters comes out, which is still going to be another 2-ish, maybe 2.5 minutes away for the Germans, he can pretty much sit there with absolutely no concern whatsoever. Brits will get their whole fuel coming in, probably in 30 seconds or so. Infantry section sliding around to the south. Going to be taking some fire from the Kubelwagen incidentally. Oh no, instead he's just going to ping some his own rifle shots off the back end, the fender of the People's Machine. We do have a second Vickers coming out, and that by itself should be a little bit more concerning for Ergarion. He's not immediately going for that battle group headquarters, which makes you kind of wonder what he's got up his sleeve. I'm not sure I could simply say that for you. I don't know. Sturmpires, though, are going to come in, and with the help of the Kubelwagen, will outflank and carve to pieces this poor infantry section. The guy's getting really cut up pretty badly. Vickers, though, is down here to really be keeping things under control, and with a machine gun burst or two, should see one suppressed? No. Sturmpires were suppressed, not going to get backed away, though. In the meantime, I think this machine gun doesn't quite have the... No, he does. There we go. Didn't think he'd have to line the arc of fire onto the Kubelwagen, but he does. Almost thankfully for him. Infantry section in the north, by the way, though, going to get teamed up on by double Volksgrenadiers, and although Hector does have some healing supplies on top of these Volksgrens, wow, it's actually going much better than I thought it would. Fire rate being buffed right now because they're in cover. Going to be fairly significant losses on both sides here. Might see another model or two drop. Yep, Brits decided to get their way really, very quickly. And keeping the cap out at 1-1. It's going to be a 2-0 pretty darn fast, though, too. As those northern Volksgrenadiers kind of just plop on that point and don't do a whole lot. Infantry section, though, moving forward, looking to pick off just a point or two. Kind of curious to think what might be the best option moving ahead. Battle group headquarters will come down for Ergarion, and platoon command post is coming down for Hector. He is now going to go and research and unlock the AEC. With an AEC on the field, yeah, Germans may not do so hot against that currently. And with the help of these Royal Engineers as well, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Volksgrens getting forced back. There they go. They're off like to the races, really just falling back in the face of such firepower from short range. Really the only option that he's got. The problem with this, though, is that this infantry section still has to retard the progress of all of this German war machine. 2 Volksgrens and a Sturmpile, yeah, not going to be a particularly easy ask from them, especially when an incendiary grenade comes off and dropping like 30 or 40% of their health in about 15 seconds. not a wonderful, comfortable place to be. Neither player, they're really dropping a lot of material. We are going to see some loss of life, of course, but not anything desperately dangerous.
Our capture point.
What are they putting down? They're just... I don't know what they're putting down. I think they just put down maybe a demo? No. Just recover? No. I don't even know what they put down. Put something down, I can tell you that much. As to what it is, I wish I could tell you that, but, you know, I would tell you, then I'd have to kill you. Brits no longer have any fuel coming in, but neither do the Germans. The Germans are looking to pick up the Brit expansion. And I have to tell you, I don't like their odds. I like their odds almost as much as these guys capping successfully the middle part of the map. Already pinned, they're out in the open, they're going to get suppressed and pushed back. There they go. STGs coming out on Volksgrunds over here to the north might be able to stand up in pitched combat to early infantry sections, but the later we go, the more brutal it will get for the Germans. And an ISG coming out now finally as well, so that's going to be good for establishing control again over the center part of the field, something the Germans have not had since that Vickers got into the garrison there. 462 to 470, the Brits have managed to come back and take 2 points by themselves, and really with the help of this Vickers, they should be able to make it a trip cap. They won't, but they are looking to do that, I'm sure, at some point in the near future. Meantime, infantry section drops off that distributes the medical supplies, so now people get themselves nice and healed up. And with the AEC on the way, the Germans don't have anything really to counter this at the moment. I'm not entirely sure why they're not going for it. I would have gone out for a fairly quick Rakettenwerfer for myself, but hey, you know what? That's their call. That's not mine. Army composition right now. Army size, first of all, 43 to 37. We are going to see the UKF with a slight deficiency in army size, but in army composition, they are, I think, in my mind, quite ahead. I wonder if the Germans know that as well. As soon as the AEC announces its presence, probably be a Faust pretty darn soon. Yes, interesting. Yep, there, of course, is that very quick. Very quick. Panzerfaust coming out from Ergarion's troops. And an incendiary grenade coming out as well on top of this machine gun. That's going to force that away pretty quickly. But this AEC, worth noting, there's going to be some changes for it up in the winter balance update. And if you are using that AEC, you might want to be worried that there's some AoE damage that's going to be nerfed a tiny bit, if memory serves correctly. As I'm looking outside right now, I am recording and seeing that there's a fair bit of snow coming down. I'm not sure about you guys. I am not necessarily looking for a white Christmas, but if that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be. 420 to 462, the Germans are threatening a decap out of the center position, but in the south they are going to lose their victory point, and this right now is a nice arc of fire for that Vickers. It is a beautiful arc, in fact. And this Kubelwagen is not, in fact, capturing out this point. I wonder if he knows that right now. If he does, that's fantastic, and I don't know why he's doing that, but if he doesn't, that's just way too bad. And it kind of sucks when that happens. There we go. He sees it happening, and he's now going to cap out that point. But Rakettenwerfer finally does hit the field at 9 minutes into the game. A little bit disconcerting, because at this point, the Rakettenwerfer is not going to get around quickly enough to really be a deterrent for the AEC. We're going to notice as well that the Germans, though, do manage to take out the middle VP and are putting up fortifications around that. Interestingly, even more so, they're trying to take out the strategic point right in front of the British position. AEC comes in and takes out that entire fortification in one shot. And Panzerfausts and Rakettenwerfer shots forcing back the AEC, but not for long, mind you. Stend armed Royal Engineers as well coming under some firepower. Not anything really that significant. It should be fairly okay with how the world is looking. Warning in the meantime if this mill should be a new fire point for the Brits. Because, yep, there are the Germans trying to take away the munitions point, and that's going to be a minor problem. Not a huge one, but a minor one. But I guess you can't be too upset if you're the Brits. They are taking away the northern munitions from their opponent and have it more easily in supply Vanguard operations, though. Very, very interesting decision. Not sure I would have gone for that myself. They're going to see a forward logistics glider. Question is, where's that going to go? I guess right up in this area-ish? No? I can never tell with these things. I don't have the ability to pick up on that on my own. It's kind of sad. So forward logistics glider comes down. Does a lot of damage to himself, unfortunately. At least we'll be that reinforcing area. And we'll be able to plop out some medics if he decides to go that direction. But more importantly, he's got the commandos who can come onto the field at his own discretion. And I suppose that's got to be enough for him right now. And coupled with the air landing officer, the light cannon bomb as well as the charge, which is pretty pretty good. Interesting decision, but pretty good. Being used already right there. Wow. So there we go. Move faster and fight harder. So they move at maximum speed. And shockingly enough, they were able to drop 3 models in about 5 seconds. Kuppelwagen is still on the field, so is that Rakettenwerfer, so that AEC really needs to be cautious about where he's going. But maybe a little bit less so now that his Royal Engineer comrades have found and are really doing a number on the Axis infantry. But now they've seen that forward logistics glider, and I really hope he's done that, mostly because if he hasn't, it's been a very, very unobservant individual. Wondering, would it be a scavenge to be the best call, or I don't know exactly how to go with this one. I really do have to admit that theory crafting with against the UKF, an uncommon doctrine decision, at least for me. It's not my strong point with in terms of the OKW. With the 3 right now that he's got on the map, I mean, 12 minutes in, he's going to come under a trip cap, it looks like, pretty darn soon. I'm trying to think, breakthrough doctrine would be a solid decision, but not a hugely beneficial one. It's a very late game. I guess the idea is to go for something that be sufficiently like cannon bomb. Nope, you can't. Animation cancels right before that happens. Good decision right there. What he could get here is he could have the opportunity. Oh, that's what they're putting down. Mines on the field. And he's going for mine detecting equipment, hazard removal equipment, support package, excuse me. Going for a late game kind of armor decision might be the best option. It wouldn't be a great one, but it might be the best option. Another Faust comes out, does damage to AEC yet again. But these Pioneers now don't have the, brutal losses right there. Maybe brutal's a little bit too harsh to say, but nevertheless, good losses being inflicted by the Brits, albeit at dreadful cost. You want to take a look at their army size. They're taking some, not insignificant hits here. But this Vickers is still in the area, as is this Royal Engineer squad. So, another mine as well, doing a number. And it appears that poor wounded guy actually got picked off. Don't often see that happen. Commando's being called in for RT and Hector, and with their assistance, they should be able to just really butcher these Volksgrenadiers. That's a good squad, too, so if you see 1 or 2 models going down, that would be a worthwhile investment of manpower. Nobody goes down on retreat, but it's still pretty darn good. And these Vickers just continue to be the linchpins of the British defense. It's like a private Waterloo. This is Hougoumont, and this is La Haye Saint. Either way, 305 to 458, ergarion is kind of dithering a little bit. And unfortunately for him, he's got his anti-aircraft gun positioned the wrong way. It doesn't sacrifice a ton of time, but just enough to turn it around. 3 or 4 seconds could be a lot of shots. And a lot of damage for that matter, too. Now, if I'm him, what do I do to get back in this? Because I really am down at this point, I know that much. I could get away with doing something like Scavenge Doctrine. Calling in a flak panzer right now, well, not right now, I guess another command point would be enough to push back the Brits. Well, in the meantime, that northern machine gun really needs to get out of there. One more unlucky hit or two could mean the death of that entire crew. But he doesn't seem to be too concerned about that, and he's down to 1 model now, and now he's probably going to book it out of there. Is he going to get out, though, just in time? Yes, he does. And the house is still standing. The house is still standing. Meantime, the Royal Engineers are going to charge forth by the help of this infantry section, and they're going to stop this strategic cap just before it happens here. Unfortunately for them, they are still in range of the Schwerpanzer headquarters. Doesn't seem to be too much of a concern for them, though. They're going to sit back and just carve a path through the OKW. And I have to say, I'm surprised that this position continues to hold as strongly as it does for the Brits. More mines going down on the common pathing opportunity for the Germans. And if they go to the south, yeah, where is that mine? Okay, there it is. Just between the fence. Yeah, it's a very common pathing opportunity, and indeed here comes another one over here to the west. So if the Sturmpires don't come to the south, yeah, the Germans could lose, and lose big. In the meantime, one surviving Volksgrenadier picks up the middle VP. 16 minutes in, he tries to stem the bleeding just a little bit. 215 to 458. And the AEC notices, wait a second, those are Rakettenwerfers. I shouldn't be here right now. It takes fire from two different sources and backs up. There's the company CP coming on as well. Will this be the Volksgrenadiers position themselves to the south? Unlucky hit takes out two models there. And Vickers puts fire enough onto the Germans that they are able to be suppressed. Kind of wondering right now why the Germans have not invested into any real any significant armor presence. You get the Jagdpanzer right now, it's not going to do him any good. P4 is probably what he's going to wait on. It's another minute yet before he can even pick that up. And he's down 250 tickets. Not an ideal position for a player at this time, but it could be definitely worse. However, what is negative, this Vickers continues to kind of hold him back, and the ISG is just not putting enough firepower on it to kind of compel it to retreat. Now, this house to the north is still up, but the Brits will not likely move into it because of its Oh wait, is this machine gun gonna go down? It's a three-star Vickers. You gotta be kidding me. He does go down. Wow. Wow, that was kind of weird. So Ergarion takes out a very, very vetted up Vickers from the Brits, and there is that P4 after all. So what can RTN do? Strafing support is nice and all that. Crocodile's kind of nice too. But here comes a standard kind of explosive device, and unfortunately for the Germans, that is a hazard removal kit, which means they can see that bad boy. Problem. Let's make sure of that. What? And apparently I just missed the Brit losing an entire other squad trying to pick up this Western strategic point in a very, very cheeky move. Detonate, you jerks. There we go. So despite the fact that he could have gone and somehow detonated it, instead what happens is the Sturmpires lose 75% of their unit size, and that is a big, big hit for the time being. It will not completely dissuade the Germans from moving forward. In fact, I do see that they have Royal Engineers are getting shot to pieces by these Obersoldaten. But all in all, it's not really a huge loss from the British side of the bay. What will be a huge loss is if he keeps hemorrhaging out infantry sections, and right now he's not doing too hot on that one. Company CP, though, will be calling in. I sincerely hope, yeah, that's going to be a Comet. Yep, that's going to be more than enough to take out this P4.
The squad's gone.
And RTN Hector is just having a little bit of a problem here.
Enemies trying to take a point from us.
He's got a couple of engineer squads still on the map, but nevertheless, it's not going to be enough to fight off the increasingly veteran forces of Ergarion. See Ergarion as well taking the northern VP, while his infantry shifts around to the south. This P4 in the meantime, I love these armored skirts on it. I love that this is actually a thing that they put into the game. I know it sounds minimalistic, but I love it. It's great. It's awesome. I love enjoying that kind of material. That's attention to detail you don't always get in games. Stens in the meantime are going to find themselves outshot pretty darn quickly. Might be able to decap, but they'll pay for it. Oh, will they pay for it? Decapped out, so and the Germans are going to lose their position north as well. So could we see a resurgent UKF? I don't know, but the Comet itself is on the field now too, which means that P4 is just really kind of counting the end, the moment until the end of his days. 77mm main cannon on that beast is pretty darn sexy. Fog of War, neither one sees each other. Which is kind of cute. You see right there that kind of shifting circle showing us where the P4 is. And intelligently, he Spidey sense or something kicks in and he backs away. Air landing officer in the meantime is able to decap the northern munitions point, although his squad gets cut down to size pretty darn quickly. AEC is going to be ablative armor for the Comet tank. The Comet doesn't even get a shot off, surprisingly. Not sure why. And the Germans continue to do their whole little dance with the Brits where each one starts pushing either side of the map. And that is just actually kind of nice to see. You don't see that happening a lot, even on the higher tiers anymore. People getting kind of tunnel vision around a certain area, like the middle part of the map, because it's a super, super easy thing to see. Ergarion is going to go for that breakthrough doctrine, so he's got the assault artillery should he want to use that, as well as the Jagdtiga. If that Jagdtiga comes out, RTN Hector will be outgunned by a disgustingly high margin. So if RTN Hector is really going to be intentional about finishing this off, he really needs to do it soon.
Enemy threatening a capture point.
I mean, it will be a fair bit of time before the Jagdtiga comes out, but still. Breakthrough tactics is a brilliant thing to use, and although it is a little bit expensive at 35 munis for the 60 seconds, it is a solid, oh my god, I need to capture this right before I lose the game kind of idea. Super late mortar pit goes down. Not in a standard position necessarily, but still in a good one for the Brits, behind the shot blocker right here. Just outside of prying eyes. And the mortar range for it, more than able to support any kind of push around the center VP. And where the round's coming down. In this area, I believe? I don't know. Either way, good decisions. One it's going to be an FOP over in the area. No, as of right now, it's just going to be Royal Engineers hanging out inside.
Causing trouble. The enemy are trying to overrun our HQ.
Interesting. Interesting decision. ISG actually putting some fire out itself. Oh, okay, so the mortar pit is looking to take out the Schwerpanzer headquarters and will do so,
SMG crew has been lost.
given a fair bit of time. Vickers goes down in the south, though. All of this infantry coming in, and Hector just keeps seeming to go on tilt when it goes with these infantry fights. I never really realized how much the fire rate goes up with the help of a garrison bonus. It's absolutely redonkulous.
Headquarters are under fire.
Infantry under fire. Who is under fire? I don't know. I can't tell you at the moment because right now Hector doesn't have any infantry, which doesn't make any bloody sense to me.
Under fire. Damn the bastard.
He might be able to push back his infantry just a tiny bit, at least until the Verkettens appear on his flank with the P4. Rear armor hit though, and he is finally coming up to do a nice idea, i.e. aiming only at vehicles. A good decision there. Where is the AEC though? AEC is in the center part of the map, not really pushing forwards. Kind of understandable why. Obers in the meantime will run afoul of these commandos who, dear God, just carve them up. That's like a Christmas turkey right there. 3 guys died within about, what, 2 feet? Look at that. Comet tank manages to make it away, and mortar pit as well still continues to be under fire. Question is just continuing to unload on the Schwerpanzer headquarters? Is he looking for the ISG? I don't know. Where is it? Okay, yep. He's looking for it, but he's not going to find it. And honestly, the more models he takes out, not going to do a huge issue for the Germans. They can just reinforce immediately off the Schwerpanzer headquarters.
Engineer unit is ready for action.
A fair bit of health damage has been done though, and we are finally going to see a little bit more Allied infantry going onto the map. One Royal Engineer squad needs to back away though, and he will do so pretty darn quickly. And the map, which had been red for so long, is now turning a lovely shade of blue, 160 to 409. ISG actually getting backed up? Yep, it gets backed up. And actually just before more rounds coming in would have hit it pretty hardcore right in this area or so. And I think now that the mortar has been helped out, we're going to see just another engineer squad going right back into it. That might be the best play. I don't know. But ISGs are moving back in. There was another ISG being made. So he's just setting himself over here to the south. So with that, I believe the mortar pit will be a little bit more confused. Like, dear God, what is going on here? When rounds like that impact, dear jeez. I think Hector might get screwed in the RNG on this one just a tiny bit. Weapon racks comes out super late. And I kind of wonder if this mortar pit is going to use brace soon. Yep, and there we go. There's bracing happening. And this Comet tank's not done a whole lot, which is kind of funny to a certain degree. All it keeps happening is ISG is just doing a number on these poor Royal Engineer squads. And Hector just continues to get bled all day, every day. Now, if this Comet manages to get forward enough to take out the ISGs, that could be enough to get by. Is loading smoke round? Maybe? Okay, never mind. So he takes out one already, and it doesn't really sacrifice a whole lot for it. A little bit of health. But now these Royal Engineers... Wait, what? I hate when that happens. They are repairing, they gotta take a little bit more damage, yeah, but they evaporated an entire squad. Here's a little bit excessive. P4 is looking to go and finish off this mortar pit once and for all, but it seems instead he's going to run afoul of the AEC and the Comet tank. Comet decides, though, that, you know, being aggressive is not always the best part of Valor, and indeed we will see Royal Engineers are desperately trying to keep this mortar pit in control, and unfortunately will fail to do so, and that might be a big loss for Hector. He's not going Bofors, so that's not going to happen. We have the mortar emplacement. Now, it could be kind of interesting to see a 17-pounder, but why would you put a 17-pounder down? We just get more Comet tanks. Now, is he going to wait out for another Comet? Probably. I would think, though, that a Firefly would be just as good and just as worthwhile. Commanders, in the meantime, will continue to kind of try to cap out the center part of the map and really should just back away. There they go. He's off to the races there. And the ISGs are just doing whatever they need to do. They're going to start dropping rounds on top of the British base, and when that happens, yikes.
We're losing a capture point.
Position in the north is getting overrun by Obersoldaten, and I would not have thought that the Brits would get pushed back on this map as, not quickly necessarily, but just getting pushed back as much as they have been. AEC, though, runs into the Obers, and the Obers have no real anti-tank capability on top of them. That's what these Volksgrens are for. But with the munitions point being decapped, the Germans will have a slight bit of time where they don't have a maximized approach. I'm also going to see it's a explosive device over here. And one Comet's coming in. It's a one-star Comet. If he is just super aggressive on this, he might be able to take down the P4 to a peg or two, but it seems both guys are just cursed when it comes to rounds. Schumann, in the meantime, is going to go down maybe by Pios, but there's not really that many Pios on the field. In fact, there's only one squad. And I would love to see these Volksgrenadiers run on top of this and get blown to smithereens. I think that's what's going to happen to this SDG squad to the north, and that's going to be a shame, too, because these guys are pretty strong. Another fighting position goes out in the center VP, and what had been a 2-0 or a 3-0 cap for the Brits has been slowly just eroding away. The Germans being able to cap out 2-1, taking both the center and the southern VP. And I would honestly say not in too difficult a fashion. Now, it would be fun to see a crocodile come onto the field and start burninating everything, but first of all, it's going to take forever and a day for the fuel to come through. And second of all, why would the British really want to do that when really all they need to have is this armored force right here? You do see right now one Comet round and a burst of machine gun fire has taken out 2 models. And while the Royal Engineers aren't doing too well down here to the south, really should back up. There they go. Sturmpyos are unfortunately under a lot of firepower as well, and commandos and the air landing officer with Bren guns. Interesting. But Ergarion is going for that Jagdtiger, so these comets have to be superbly placed. And I really do truly mean superbly placed, because that could be a devastating, devastating loss. Would also love to see perhaps strafing support to assist against a Jagdtiger. And these guys are only getting hit by sheer dumb luck. That's just unfortunate when that happens. So the Germans know they're there, but they don't know where they are. With the Jagdtiger on the field, he also already has that engine modifications. A good idea. A good idea. I do think the Brits are just trying to stall out as long as possible. I mean, the Germans right now have a full dance card. Brits only about 2/3 of that. And to be fair though, this is like this is 20% of it right there. 21% if you want to be super nitpicky about it. Kind of the feeling though that RTN really should be picking some more infantry to bring on. And perhaps, just maybe, utilize this Piat a little bit more, especially once he sees the Jagdtiger. He should be kind of terrified. Ergarion, though, is just start floating resources. He doesn't have to spend on anything. There's no point. Sturmpyos don't really need to have anti-tank. He's got 2 Verkettens for that, and the Jagdtiger, and the P4. So a not inconsiderable group right there. Another evaporation of an infantry squad. But 32-15 in, we just see the Brits getting robbed of life and limb pretty much without any sort of, what is the term I'm looking for here? I would say peace and quiet, but it makes absolutely no sense. Ergarion, in the meantime, is going to call in his final truck. Might as well, too. Meanwhile, in the north, the Brits are going to lose out on their fuel as the Sturmpyos effectively fight off an AEC. Not doing any damage, mind you, but just kind of sitting there being annoying. And it would be good for the Hector's morale, I'm sure, if he could pick off a squad or 2, but it's just not happening. Did see that that explosive trap did go off, and it seems like it did a fair number on the German war machine, but just not enough to really justify the cost. 2-1 cap now for the Germans, 144 to 326. An unlucky ISG round coming down on top of the AEC. But now here are the commandos, and these guys are still insane up close and personal fighters. So there's that Bren gun. The Bren gun is not particularly accurate on the retreat, and you do see it right now, not doing a whole lot. No more models really dropping, just the one at first contact. And the AEC will back away in a little bit of fear, I would say. Doesn't really want to take that many hits from an ISG before it falls apart. But in the south, Royal Engineers are plopped inside this garrison and realize it's probably a bad idea. The retail value on this house is going to go down pretty darn quickly as one more round comes in. And with all the fuel income that he's got, this is a good decision actually. Ergarion's calling in the Mechanized Regiment headquarters, and then we'll go and probably just put down the mechanics so he doesn't have to worry too much about...
We have 300 points remaining.
Doesn't have to worry about investing really in kind of repairing the thing. And repairing his equipment. Jeez, that's what I was trying to say, and it did not come out. Sturmpyos, though, will be doing that insteed. House does finally buy it. And I imagine we're going to see the tanks be coming out to play fairly soon. I do also get the idea that RTN Hector is just trying to hang out with it just close enough to his strafing support, so that way when these tanks come out, he can kind of pin and bring in his supporting air power. Oh my gosh, that thing is gorgeous. Slow as I'll get out, but kind of gorgeous. The lines on it are surprisingly beautiful to me. It's kind of blocky though, I suppose. I think I got a PT cruiser with an 88mm gun. Even more than that, actually. Assault artillery to the north, not hitting anything. No real big happening. Royal Engineers, in the meantime, are probably going to buy it here. One more burst of fire should do it. Nope, not going to happen. And instead, it's the Jagdtiger and the P4 putting rounds into the Comet tanks. Comet tanks are going to back away. And the newly arrived infantry section realizes as well that he's in over his head. But somehow, Hector is not dead yet. I think that Ergarion might have been a little bit more aggressive about his play. We wouldn't be in this moment right now that, 35-45 and, would be a little bit closer to being done. But now that he knows that the Jagdtiger is on the map, he really should be like, 6-pounders perhaps, or anything like that. I think it'd be a great idea, but no. Instead, he's had to start spending some of his munitions over with smoke shells, which will do some damage passively to the Sturmpyos if they're dumb enough to be in there. I don't think they're dumb enough to be in there, though, too. A booby trap is also on this particular strap point here, and we're basically going to just see Hector kind of hang out, really, for a bit of time. Hector realizing, of course, that while he wants to go and prevent these places from being taken out, the play to do that is not to allow the P4 or the Jagdtiger rounds upon your troops. And unfortunately, though, even for Ergarion's forces as well, sending one squad of troops in, no matter how vetted up they might be, is not the right way to go about this. Infantry section is going to kind of dive forward. It's not going to do a whole lot, though. Throwing out to distribute medical supplies, but he's still under fire, and it's not going to do him any good. Jeez, and now there's a Brent out on the field for the Germans to take. There we go. Phew. So the last trooper picks it up, but he might be losing a Comet tank because of it. So main gun goes out. There we go. Jagdtiger throws a shot into it, and the Bren gun gets lost into the annals of the dust forever and ever. And we just continue to see the same thing. In the north, we'll see some small engagements between infantry, and indeed, we might see the Sturmpyos go out. That's getting butchered, in fact. Yeah, they're going to go die. So the Sturmpyos go down. Small victory there for Hector. But his armored vehicles are just getting destroyed, and not even like in a very, very difficult sense. Getting savaged, my friends. Another Comet's going to be coming out, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. He really does need to have some 6-pounders out on the map, and he just doesn't have that. All the while, the support gets a little bit more and more slim. 2 squads of infantry. These guys need to be reinforced like crazy. These guys really need to be reinforced, and he's just bleeding out way too much. AEC kind of troops on forwards, have a very, very gutsy manner, trying to come on in. But another P4 is coming out for Ergarion, replacing his lost Sturmpyos with... Oh dear God, that thing is brutal. Get one more shot on it? No, not quite. Let's get ourselves a nice little cinematic shot or two. I really feel like the AEC should probably buy it a long time ago. Changed a couple of rounds, and P4 runs in with no support whatsoever. I think the Jagdtiger should have been moving up behind him. That by itself would have terrified me. I don't know about you guys. But it's not going to be the case. Instead, it will be the Brits making a tentative push outside of their own base again. Nevertheless, 39-30 into this game, 129 to 246, and what had been an all but sure UKF victory has now come back into being a far less certain idea. ISG taking some rounds from that smoke shell. Yikes, and actually getting butchered too. He's going to lose that last model? No, that'd be 5 stars of veterancy lost there. No, does not manage to take it out, and that's just lucky right there for that ISG. Really, honestly, super, super lucky. But Hector continues not to bring in any more infantry, and I think that's a giant mistake. He still is missing a fair chunk of army supply on his opponent. And now with the increasing technological gap that's going to be coming in, Ergarion could lose both of his P4s and just call in a King Tiger. And a Jagdtiger and a King Tiger by himself, that is a scary 1-2 punch. I mean, super, super scary. You see right now already the Jagdtiger is putting rounds into that one Comet over there to the west of it, more or less. Go back to a nice cinematic shot for a moment here too. P4 decides to show its heels and pays for it quite significantly. Going to take a round or two. As AEC is not taking any kind of shots though either, so I'm surprised that we're not going to see something like evenly supporting fire. It'd be kind of fun. One round coming in. Yep, there comes the death of this AEC. No, interesting, maybe not. I saw artillery coming down for the Germans, but not doing a whole lot. Instead, just kind of like really clearing away this position. But not anything that Brett really need to be worried about too much. 129 to 220. I will say this: Ergarion has been clawing his way back into this very, very well. It has helped that his opponent has not been the most aggressive in trying to close him out early on. These Comets are going to want to retreat again before they get picked off. But Ergarion, I mean, you only get so much help before it's like, okay, well, you know, my comrades won't necessarily fight without assistance. So we're going to see the P4 go down. Big hits happening here, so it looks like the P4 is probably going to buy it. Trying to dig in on top of it. Yep, destroyed engine, he goes down. Jagdtiger is now going to get flanked. Dude, if they rushed in right now and just sprinted around it, it would have been more than enough, but it's not going to be enough at this point. Now, 1 or 2 rounds, we'll see the death of one Comet. And is that the AEC trying to be pestering? No, it's not. Okay. So the Comets managed to pick off one P4. But they're still dropping in tickets, and Ergarion is just building a significant bank. And again, I want to see strafing support. I would think that'd be probably the best choice he's got under his own, his bag of tricks as of yet. And now the Kettenwerfer is close enough that he's seeing this Comet tank back in base, which is kind of embarrassing. Wondering why we don't even see something like, oh look, recon sweep, go. Instead, we're just going to see more and more smoke shells being dropped on top of them. Kind of weird, too. Don't often see those used. But, okay. Ober's going to continue to sit behind this stone wall up here. Not really taking defensive posture, but just kind of chilling, you know, enjoying the trees, doing their thing. Commanders are going to sneak around to the south and pick up the southern VP. We'll do that pretty easily as well. And his P4 will notice that the Brits are making a minor push outside of their base yet again. Smoke shell goes in but impacts on top of the P4. Unluckily for him, crew doesn't really even need to breathe in this one. Otherwise, that'd be much more concerning. Oh no, he uses the smoke shell to delay the shot from the Kettenwerfer. Very interesting decision there. I never would have guessed that was going to happen. Very interesting modification. The Germans at long last are going to pick up this northern VP. Basically bringing back a what's the term I'm looking for here? One second, I'll get a nice little... He's not firing. Why is he not firing? I don't know. Looking at least one shot off on that P4 is not going to happen, unfortunately. Instead, he's just going to buy it. And a third P4 is on the field. And I don't know. I think that might be a little bit excessive. No real point to bringing that guy in. But, you know, he's got a clear control at this point. It's 2-0 cap, and he's got troops kind of sprinkled liberally around the field. ISG's facing to the south. He's got Volksgren firing up in the north. And it seems a nice little bit of a flame shell going on as well. Not the most disturbing package really for him. And finally a 6-pounder comes out. 45 minutes in and Hector realizes it's time to bring out a 6-pounder. Alright, so maybe not the best decision at that point. I mean, about time. It could have been done a long time ago. But now 2 P4s and the Jagdtiger. One more round by itself is almost enough to destroy the Comet tank. And yeah, with the 2-0 cap right now, I feel really kind of concerned for Hector's long term
The
here.
AT gun you ordered is ready.
Yes, yay, look, an AT gun is on the field, but it's not going to be enough to flip this back the other direction. As you can see right now, Panzer IV coming forward, and with the AEC, both of them are kind of like, oh look, there's some, oh, never mind, I didn't see anything. Plucky AEC, though, comes in behind and puts a couple of rounds into the back of the P4 as the Comet engages from the front. Now, the problem with that, though, is that the Jagdtiger is still on the field.
Lost a Mark III armored
And somehow the P4 missed the tank. I don't know how he did that, but he did not.
capture point is being overrun.
Comet tank is pushing forward, so he's going to try to give himself up in some last, bonsai charge, it looks like. And if he had done this about, a bajillion years ago, it would have been more than enough. Rockets coming in, doing good, solid damage to the Jagdtiger. And strafing support as well. Might see this Rakettenwerfer get picked off. Another thing that could have been used a long time ago. Jagdtiger is probably going to go down. One more gun run is all that needs. One more round from the Comet tank goes down. Never mind, folks. There's one.
The enemy have knocked out a Comet tank.
And just enough to pick it off. Taking out the Jagdtiger, but I don't know, is that enough to see the Germans through to success? I don't think it is. See the British through to success, not the Germans. The Germans are already seeing success right now. And that anti-aircraft gun is now able, I think, to just kind of chase away the Typhoons
Trying to take it.
successfully. But no, it's more rockets coming in instead, so the P-47s have not been taken out. Oh, excuse me, not P-47s, I'm thinking about the American ones, the Hawker Typhoons. But Hector has next to no anything left, and indeed you do see it's just going to be 20 army supply against naught. 63 army supply still, 2 tanks on the field, 3 squads of infantry, 2 of which are fully vetted up. Yeah, Hector might have just seen his last day. I think I speed that up a little bit as well just to kind of prove that out there. Get a little bit closer to the end of days. So well played by both sides, but Hector, you could have definitely pulled it out, my friend, but I don't think your build order really made a whole lot of sense there. And yeah, that's going to be a tap out from Hector. So congratulations to Ergarion, taking out Hector in a 47-minute and 54-second game. And really doing rather well for himself. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate all support and love you show the channel. You want to give me some more, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you really want to be kind of nifty, feel free to send me your own material. I'd love to feature you on the channel. However, that's it for me today. So I'll see you guys all soon. This is Conor signing off. Take it easy, everybody.